When we first started building custom Lego trains back in the mid-2000s, we didn't have any way to power them other than the 9-volt train motor. Lego did offer other 9-volt motors, but few ways to get that power to the track and fewer ways to control them remotely. Many engines did not have motors and ran in front of a discrete power car further back in the train, or a powered tender in the case of a steam locomotive. We continued to follow this paradigm when we started building scale models in the early 2010s, and I actually built two 1:48 scale power cars with 9-volt motors, a New York Central Express car and a Pennsylvania Railroad Express car. I mentioned the NYC car, number 999, in Old Trains 2, but I took it apart quite a while ago as more locomotives ran on power functions and the need for power cars diminished. I kept one of the cars for use at Baylog events, and I chose the R50 for its mechanical and prototypical flexibility. The PRR built more than 500 of these express reefers in the early 1900s, and the fleet operated into the 1950s. Nominally refrigerator cars, the R50b carried cooled and uncooled goods on passenger and freight trains, meaning I could prototypically run them either way. As for the mechanical flexibility, this model can operate in 4 different power modes, and I will demonstrate each one. The most normal configuration is, of course, 9-volt train motors on 9-volt track, and this is the one I use the most, usually at lug shows. This setup provides enough power to haul a moderately heavy train at relatively high speeds, though the low speed torque and cornering performance obviously suffers a bit. I've also had a hard time building nice greebles for the official train motors due to the limited number of mounting points. But wait, the 9-volt train motors have electrical connectors on the top side, and the R50 has mounting points for PF equipment on the inside. On plastic track, I can run these motors on power functions, and battery operation actually gets close to the performance of mains power. Nonetheless, the current draw, especially at full power, drains batteries pretty quickly and probably approaches the limits of the V2 receiver. Running just one train motor may offer more economy for shorter or lighter trains, but performance definitely suffers. The RC train motor I used for the MP54 could only move the D2 along with the R50 itself, despite subsequently managing a pretty brisk pace. The weight distribution also isn't optimal for single motor operation. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I can run a geared drivetrain for more torque and less speed. In this configuration, I removed the train motors and replaced them with brick-built bogies driven by PFM motors at 1-to-1 reduction. The model can also accept PFXL motors, in which case the entire drive assembly can actually come out to change batteries without having to mess with the wiring too much. The last power mode is no power. If I remove the gears from the brick bogies, I can haul the R50 like any other piece of rolling stock. I had hoped to easily change between the different power modes, but that has proven way more aspirational than practical. Either way, I've almost never run the geared or unpowered setup, but if the club moves away from track power, perhaps I will use them more. Or the car may just go to the great big part spin in the sky. Finally, some notes on the modeling. This actually uses pretty few parts and pretty simple construction. I made most of the body studs up, and it rests on the bricks at the ends of the chassis. The frame in turn consists of just a few horizontal and longitudinal plates with some studs outskirting needed to clear the wheels. On that note, this is the end of the video, so have a nice day.
Yep.
That's so it doesn't fully rotate. It keeps stopping.
I only hear it because it is me or track one or whatever you track to.
In an upcoming update, they're going to add robotic response stuff so that the sensors can do all sorts of things. Like it's basically like it's to replace not only the normal battery and receiver, but also
My dream, I'm not going to online. I bought a plate stand. I'm going to have it standing up on a shelf.